I want to talk about some of the things that you can expect to change with diet and exercise, and some of the stuff that you will have to just accept about yourself. If you or your clients are doing cardio only, then they need to understand that doing that only for exercise means that they are going to simply become a smaller version of whatever they are currently. So if they are only doing cardio as their form of exercise, they may get smaller, especially if they're like low calorie dieting or whatever, but A, they typically will regain the weight, and B, they will find themselves just looking exactly the same. So they'll just shrink and still have all the same trouble zones and all the same areas. We like to say at Eat More to Weigh Less, cardio for fun and weights to transform, because weightlifting is going to be the key to your transformation, which I will explain. A lot of people feel like that there are certain things about themselves that just don't change at all, and when they lift, they find out that they can. So some of the things that you can change when you are lifting is because lifting is about muscle. So when you're building muscle, people are surprised what areas change for the better. So one of those areas is obviously your glutes. That's one of the biggest areas that people notice they're changing. Whereas if you're only doing cardio, like maybe your pants size goes down, but if you were dealing with like a pancake butt factor, you're still dealing with one afterwards. But if you're lifting, one of the first things that people notice is the change in how their jeans fit, and that's because they're getting a lift in that area. So you can change things that are muscle related. So your butt will lift and get perkier, even if you typically don't tend to have one. Now, some people may have to work harder than others for this to happen, but that is something that can actually help because your glutes are a muscle. Like, that is one of the biggest muscles, are the muscles in your legs. So you can look for changes in your butt. You can look for changes, like I said, also in your legs. So maybe if you don't really have shapely legs, like I said, if you're just doing cardio for your exercise, then you're still not gonna have shapely legs, even if they get smaller. So you'll get smaller, but then you'll still like not want to wear shorts or whatever because you're not happy with the firmness of your legs. So those things can change. A lot of my clients are surprised that they go up in, and guys, maybe you don't want to hear this, or maybe you do, they go up in cup sizes with their bras because there is a pec muscle. So there's a muscle under the breast tissue that when you lift, it builds that up. So it actually makes them a little bit perkier, which is another benefit to lifting. Most people don't realize that for women, your breasts are fat. So when you lose fat, you lose there too. That's the reason why you do want to build muscle there, because you will also, you'll lose the fat there. If there's just fat, when you get rid of fat, if there's no muscle there afterwards, then there's no tone or whatever it is that you're looking for. So remember, anything that's muscle-based can be changed, but you have to figure in your genetics. A lot of people do like yoga to become long and lean, which, yeah, it's a technicality, but you cannot make your muscles any longer or leaner than they genetically are. So you have to take that into consideration. The length of your muscles, your bone structure, anything that's genetic or bone-based will not change. So that means even something as simple as how your abs look when you lose your fat, they may not look like somebody else's. Some people just won't ever get a six-pack because genetically their abs don't do that. That doesn't mean that they won't get a flat stomach or it won't still look good for them, but genetically your abs will look a certain way. Your hip width doesn't change if that's bone structure based. So something that a lot of my clients don't realize when they're trying to, like, you know, oh, I need to get rid of these hips. Maybe if you have extra fat, you may be able to get it down a little bit, but if you're truly pear shaped, those are your genetics. So you need to focus more on building muscle in your upper body to balance out the bone structure that you have in your lower body. So I'm naturally pear shaped. So that's something that like a lot of people don't know, because I built my body in a way that looks more like an hourglass now than a pear, because I'm naturally a pear. But instead of focusing on trying to like whittle away my legs and just like, oh my gosh, I need to get rid of these legs, I focused on building my upper body, and then it naturally balanced things out. So most people don't realize that that's my natural shape. So I had to build the V-taper in my back so that my back width matches my hips, and so my shoulders are out a little bit more. So now when you look, it's very balanced. You can change your upper body if you're a pair. Your lower body may be very, very, very stubborn. So you have to give it so much time. But in the meantime, work on building your upper body. You cannot change, obviously, your height. So someone that's like me, it would make very little sense for me to compare myself to the body of someone who, I'm like 5'2" on a good day. It would make very little sense for me to compare my body to someone who's maybe 5'7", 5'8". Their muscle length and everything is going to be completely different than mine. Those are some of the things that you can't change. You can't change your genetics. You can't change your hip width, your height, your length of your muscles. Different people's muscles are shaped differently. You'll notice like some people, like even with biceps, some people can get like a peak on their bicep and some people don't. It's just like always like really rounded. Some people can build muscle faster than others, but that doesn't mean that everyone cannot build it. It's just that the way that it looks on you is going to be different. But there are things that everyone can do, and there are things that we have to know are just individual to us, like thigh gaps. That is genetic. People are like going crazy over this like whole thigh gap thing. Like it's just their pelvic bone structure. That's not something that you can like change. And the same thing with a lot of these pictures of people with like abs. Like unless you have like a rib removed, you're not going to look like those pictures. So it's important to understand what your bone structure is. It's important to understand how you always look. Like maybe look at your parents and your aunts and all of them, and not necessarily use it as an excuse like, oh, well, look at my genetics, I'm just going to be this way. But understanding, okay, which part of that can I work with? Which part of that is something that I can change, and what do I have to kind of work around? Because like some people are naturally thin and they have to work harder to gain muscle and get like more like curvy muscles, and then other people have to work harder, like me, to be small. I'm endomorph, if you're familiar with body types, which means that I naturally carry a higher body fat percentage. Like that's my genetics. So that's something that I know. I'm not going to compare myself to someone who naturally carries a very, very low body fat percentage. I know that I have to work harder to keep my body fat percentage low, just the way they have to work harder to be able to develop muscle as easily as I do.